So let me start with a preamble. Now the preamble is basically presenting the outcome of enablement. What we are asking is, yes, we want to enable people. So when you enable people, what happens? What do you get? So what is that end state that we are looking for? Or what are we expecting to produce as a consequence of enablement? That's where we actually start on. Let me start with a simple idea which Swami Ranganathananda first gave in a talk almost 40 years ago. He said that if I want to look at the human personality, there are two questions that we ask about the human personality. One is, who am I and what I do. So he says that these two dimensions of the human personality actually can reflect in your identity. So if I were to define myself in functional terms, then my answer to a question would be, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, I'm a professional in this area, etc. But if I were to ask a question, who am I, and I were to answer in deeper in being terms, not in function terms, then my answer would be radically different. They would be reflecting on my identity as a human being, my identity with you, with each other, our universal identity. All these ideas will come up only when I start answering the question from within rather than from function. Now, if you really look at our education system, there are two views of our education system today. On one side, we have a predominantly functional view in our educational system, which says that it's domain or subject focused, concept, skills, with the whole idea being that I'm going to make you career worthy, I'm going to make you profession worthy, and I'm going to give you an identity in the world as an executive or as a doctor or as an engineer or so on and so forth. So our very definitions are based at a functional level. But there is an effort where people are actually trying to say that no, you should also look at the being level, where you should look at character and values development so that the being is also strengthened. Because I might be a doctor, but whether I'm an honest doctor or not requires both function and being. So if I'm honest, then that's a being level dimension, but I need that along with the doctor if I really want to have a strong and stable society. So the question that comes up is that these two already exist, but this is weak, this is predominant. This is the current status. Now what is it that we are saying when we say that we want education for enablement? What does education for enablement mean? We are saying, yes, there is a functional view, there is the being view, but we must integrate these two views. Is that correct? We are saying we must integrate these two views and make it a whole. That means, and in Swami Ranganathananda's language, where being flows into function. He says that I'm an administrator, but can my being flow into my function? So I'm performing that particular role as an administrator, but if my inner being flows into it, then I will act differently, think differently, engage differently with that role. If I'm a teacher and if my being flows into my role as a teacher, into my functional identity as a teacher, I will act completely differently. Then I will act in the spirit of, a great teacher would, in getting involved with the student and so on and so forth. While if my being was separated from my function, then I would approach the same task mechanically. I would approach it as a task to be done because I've been paid something. So I need to go and log in 7-8 hours of work and come away. So the whole question and the whole message was that we need to ensure that being flows into function. But when being flows into function, something very extraordinary happens. And that is what Swami Ranganathananda said. He said that what something happens is that it is not a simple case of addition. It is not that being plus function is a arithmetic addition. You say that when being flows into function, something magical happens. Something profound, something magical happens. There is a complete transformation both of function and of being. That means there is a complete transformation in the entire personality of that person. This entire transformation of that personality, when it takes place, those are the kind of people we want. People who are transformed because in every act, they are acting with their being flowing into function in everything that they do. If I were to put this idea, this picture in words, and if you notice that picture shows two things. It shows something happening within and it shows something happening outside. That means this person who is there is something profound happening inside that person and there is something profound happening outside. And that picture is being described in words. When values integrate with effectiveness, because the function I can become effective to a certain extent, I can become efficient if not effective. But when values integrate with effectiveness, then what happens is, what comes out outside is it issues forth as contribution. Now this is a new thought that I am bringing in. The idea that actually when I operate with my being flowing into function and when I am actually integrated as a personality, I do not just work, I contribute. There is a big difference between working and contributing. In contributing, you are making a difference to that other person's life. You are making a difference to the environment in which you are living. While in working, you are simply mechanically processing life. Life is a dreary, humdrum, repetitive flow of events and activities. So, we are talking about contribution. And in a sense, and this is my understanding, is that contribution in a sense is a precursor to an ideal of selfless service. With contribution, you start at least including others in your thinking. If you don't contribute, you are only thinking about yourself. So you are starting with, in a low state of selfishness. But when you start contributing to others, contributing to your environment, contributing to your organization, you are still not letting go of your selfishness, but you are including others. So you are moving from selfishness to enlightened self-interest. And from enlightened self-interest, those who can and those who can evolve move to selflessness. So in a sense, contribution is an intermediate step, a sort of bridge step between the world in which our country exists and the world of ideals that we want to work towards. So the whole idea is that can we have an education system where we can create such contributors outside and at the same time there is evolution within. So there is an evolution process. Why does that evolution take place? Because my being is involved. And my being is involved, a process of reflection, a process of involvement starts, a process of self-inquiry starts. Many activities begin which allow me to ask myself how I am going to improve, how I am going to become more excellent, how I am going to work towards a higher level of quality in all my actions. All these questions start automatically coming up because I am engaged, I am involved. So the whole point that is being made is that if I am looking at function and being coming together, there is contribution outside and evolution within, that dynamic begins. So this is actually slowly grows. This is the end state we want. We are looking for, when we say that we want an education for enablement, what we are really saying is, can I do this, accomplish this, and not in a few cases, and not because of one or two people, but can I do this on a systematic, large-scale basis as part of our entire society? Because only when that happens are you going to find real change. Few individuals do make a difference, they are inspiring role models, they are important, but if I can actually bring it into the way we work, if we can bring it into the way we educate people, if we are able to embed it into our educational system, then we are slowly and consciously moving toward a world where there are more contributors. If we have had conversations with senior executives of organizations, for example, and there is a reason why we should talk about it, because many of the students, the products of the education system are going to work there. And they say that barely 5 to 7% of an organization are real contributors. That's it. And I'm sure any person who's worked in large organizations is probably going to agree with this number, plus minus. But it is so small. 1 out of 15, 20 people are contributing. The rest are just actually riders. They're carrying on. Now just imagine that if you are able to increase the percentage of contributors in an organization from 5 to 7% to 10 to 12%, 15%. You are not 100% successful in your activities. But we are even 10% successful in this effort of actually creating contributors outside and people are willing to grow within. What are you likely to find in terms of productivity? What are you likely to find in terms of a transformation around you? What can you see in our government offices? What can you see around us? This is really what an education for enablement must do for us. It must qualitatively transform the state of affairs in our life, in our society. And it must qualitatively transform the human being, which is first, which is this transformation. So both must happen hand in hand. So this is the goal. This is the outcome that we seek when we are saying that we want education for enablement. And because this goal is worthwhile, it is worthwhile for us to sit and figure out how to get there. Because there is a goal which has a big payoff for all of us. It's not a nice thing to have. It's a valuable thing for us to have.